Hi everybody, I hope that you're all doing really well. Today I am back to film the Idiom Delirium book tag. I was tagged to do this by Ed. Oh, what level are we on? Are we on Ed level yet? From Gagging for Lit. He tagged me a few days ago to do this, and this tag was originally created by the lovely Kieran from KD Books. So Kieran took a phrase that was to do with books and gave us a prompt. So it looks really fun, and I'm gonna get into the tag now. So the first question is a closed book, a book which you've never had the desire to buy, and I feel like I am just going to invert Kieran's answers for the first two of these questions and say Ulysses or Finnegan's Wake, just anything by James Joyce. I'm just not that keen to buy. I know that they are classics in modern literature, but like, no, they are massive and apparently like stream of consciousness, which just freaks me out entirely. And all of those things are bad. All of them. No. I might be tempted to pick up Dubliners by James Joyce just to say that I've read a Joyce, but like, it would have to be really good to get me to pick up Ulysses or Finnegan's Wake. It just terrifies me. Question number 2 of this tag is an open book, a book which you have the desire to read but haven't bought yet. And like I say, I could have very easily just kind of inverted Kieran's answers and said Charles Dickens, because Charles Dickens is an author who I've read a couple of works by. I've read A Christmas Carol, which I absolutely love. It's one of my favourite books of all time, and I've read Great Expectations. But because I love A Christmas Carol so much, and because he's an author that I just seem to know quite a lot about because I hear people talking about him all the time, I'm always like listening to podcasts about him. So I think I've read a lot more than I actually have. A few months ago, I even went to the Charles Dickens Museum and I got a lovely little mug, and I'm obsessed with the Dickens Dream painting. So I really do need to get around to actually reading more of Dickens for how much I think that I like him as an author. But the book that I'm actually going to use in response to the question of a book that I've had the desire to read but haven't bought yet is Dress in the Age of Jane Austen. This is a book that I am desperate to buy. It's written by Hilary Davidson and is published by Yale University Press and is just all about Georgian and Regency fashion. Oh, me love. As we know from the Tudor TBR, I am really keen to get to a book about Tudor fashion, and yeah, Regency fashion is right up there for me on fantastic historic fashion. I just want it. I want it so much. I want to see those designs. I want to just imagine wearing those clothes. Anybody who knows me well knows that I am always perilously close to going onto Etsy and buying like a Regency dress and a Regency bonnet at any given time. The only thing that is stopping me is my bank account. I just really want to flounce around in Tudor dress and Regency style dress. Oh, I just love it so much. But like the Tudor fashion dress, it is around about £30. You can usually get it a little less money online. So I think I need to just kind of calm down and read the books that I currently own first. And then we'll see, we might make a purchase soon. Question number 3 is, in my good books, what book do you wish had more recognition? Now this could have gone to so many different books, but when I was scouring my shelves trying to come up with an answer to this, I stumbled across this and I thought, when else am I gonna show this book in a video? It kind of makes me laugh because I always think of myself as being somebody who's kind of indifferent to the royal family. I think because I have quite a few friends who are like vehemently anti-royal and, you know, they just want to abolish the monarchy, and I can understand I can understand the incentive to that. But I think I need to kind of recognise that I am a person who actually quite enjoys the royal family. I would not call myself a royalist or a monarchist by any means, but like, if there is a royal wedding, if there is a baby, if there is a particularly good documentary on them, I don't like the trashy gossipy ones, but I do like a good documentary, well researched. And you know, if the Queen is wearing a particularly bright, colourful outfit with a well coordinated hat, like, I am there. And yeah, on the topic of the Queen and her impeccable, colourful wardrobe, I give you this book, Our Rainbow Queen by Sally Hughes. This is so ridiculous. This is the most ridiculous book I own. For somebody who claims that they are quite indifferent to the royal family, the speed at which I snapped this up when Lena Norms talked about this book on her channel is absolutely ridiculous, but I had to have it. And this only has 242 ratings on Goodreads, and therefore prompts me to think that people are not reading this. And why not? It's great. It is literally just about all of the Queen's outfits in all of the different colours that she has worn, and it is a thing of beauty. I don't care that it's ridiculous. I want more people to read this because it's great. This is just the old lady fashion sense that I aspire to have. Like, if I am 80, 90 years old and I do not have this many colourful, coordinated coats and hats, then I am not going to feel like I have done my job. It's a lot of fun. I want more people to read it because it's great. Just like, look how happy she is. Look at that lime green, like she's great. I don't care so much about the rest of the royal family, but like I like the Queen. I enjoy the Queen. I can't explain it anymore. Now you think that I'm completely ridiculous, we're going to move swiftly on to the next question, which is off the books. Recommend anything you like, but nothing book related. And I feel like this is the one and only chance that I'm going to get to recommend a TV show that I've just heard nobody talking about. But at the beginning of lockdown, me and my parents really got into this show called Miss Scarlet and the Duke. It's set in late 19th century London and follows Miss Scarlet, who is a budding detective. But of course, because of this time period, the Victorian period, she, as a woman, is not able to really be a detective. However, when her father dies, she takes it upon herself to run his detective agency. And the series is all about her like building the business up and solving crimes alongside her longtime friend and slight rival, the Duke. He's called William, he is quite high up in Scotland Yard. They kind of have this hate-love relationship, but you know where it's gonna go. And the guy who plays him is kind of like a cross between Raven from BBC Raven and Richard Madden, and it's a glorious combination, and he has a Scottish accent. Like, what can be better? The show was on Alibi, and I think it is on PBS in America, but I feel like nobody saw it because Alibi is not like a widely distributed channel, but I know that Sky are really promoting it on their box set, so I want more people to watch it. It is not like a perfect show by any means, but it's really good fun. So if you like your historical crime dramas, then this is for you. The next question is, never judge a book by its cover. Okay, but this time you can. What book has a horrific cover? Now, I do have to concur with Kieran, like the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory cover from Penguin is absolutely horrific. I also have to concur with Ed when he said about the Bell Jar having an absolutely atrocious cover. It's actually been a long time grudge that I've had that I've never been able to find a really good cover of the Bell Jar until very, very recently. I also dislike a lot of the covers for Pride and Prejudice. I think because it's one of my favourite books that I want it to have the most stunning cover, but like especially the Penguin cloth-bound classics, like what is the colour? What is that colour? I don't like it. Also bonus points for the UK paperback cover of Home Fire by Camilla Shamsi. Oh, I hate that cover so much. It's just not pretty, and especially when we have the US cover, which is the one that I have, which is stunning. Like, compare the two. Like, no questions. This is better. What were the UK designers doing? What were they doing? Question number 6 is, every trick in the book, which book was an intangible mess? There are a lot of books that I could have answered for this, and one of the books that I'm going to answer for a later question could have been on this list, but I'm going to go controversial on this one because I know a lot of people like this book, but it didn't do anything for me, and I feel kind of bad because I have listened to this author's podcast, and I think she must be really lovely as a person. She comes across really well, but I could not stand this book, and it is Everything I Know About Love by Dolly Alderton. This is basically Dolly's biography of her experience in her 20s, basically like going out, partying, and her relationships, and eventually coming on to the fact that she realised that the greatest relationships in her life were her friends, but I could not stand this book. It annoyed me so much. I think maybe because this experience of your early 20s, late 20s has not been my experience so far. You know, I'm not a big partier, I'm not a drinker, I don't go out clubbing, so, you know, I couldn't really relate to it in any sort of way. But I don't think it's that. I think it's just so self-indulgent. It feels at so many different points like Dolly is trying to impart wisdom to the younger people who are in their 20s. On the one hand, she's kind of moralizing and trying to impart life lessons and being like, guys, don't drink so much, don't do drugs, don't go crazy. But also, isn't it really cool that I was this crazy party girl? Don't you wish that you were a little bit like me? And it's like, you can't have both. You can't do both. You're either wanting to portray yourself in this like crazy hedonistic kind of way, or you're moralizing, but you can't do both. You can't be like an icon that people should aspire to be like, and also try and present yourself as being more responsible. No. No. There are so many times in this book where she behaves so irresponsibly and it never seems like she learns her lesson. Like there's a point where she has no money in her bank account and yet still makes the choice to drive all the way to Oxford, and then her friend has to pay for her taxi ride because she was just so drunk. Like, oh my god, so random that I did that. And it's like, no, you are a horrible person doing horrible things, and your friends are saints for putting up with you. Like, no, do not behave this way. I know that's not going to be everybody's opinion on this book. I know so many people love it and it really spoke to them, but I didn't like it. But I do like memoirs, so I have kept it around, and it's pretty. It has that going for it. And I do like Dolly Alderton as a person. I just didn't get on with this. I'm sorry. The next question is, hit the books. What was your favourite book and or worst book that you had to study in school or university? And I think the best book for me was King Lear by William Shakespeare. We know I like Shakespeare already, but this is one of my favourites, if not my favourite Shakespeare. I think Much Ado About Nothing and Romeo and Juliet are quite high up as well. But because we did this in my very last year of secondary school, I just have such fond memories of this because I had a lot of friends who were also doing English literature. We did a production of King Lear. It was just a great time. Like, during our free periods, like, anybody who's doing English literature, especially in my friendship group, would just like throw out quotes and we'd all just be like, haha, in joke, King Lear, yay. I don't know, maybe he had to be there, but it just brought me so much joy. And every single time that I reread or see a production of this, I just am brought back to being 17, 18 and like sat in the common room with my friends having a great time. I love it a lot. And I feel like this gets a lot less love as a tragedy than the other Shakespeare's. So I want more love for this. It's great. Read it. The worst book that I had to study in school was The Road by Cormac McCarthy. I do not have the words to express how annoying I find this book and its lack of punctuation and its pretentiousness. Goodbye. And yet I still own it, and I don't feel like I can get rid of it because on some level I do think I'm going to go back and reread it and just find it the inspiring dystopian novel that everybody else seems to find it. But it is not this day. But maybe later. And the last question is Bookworms. Tag somebody who has reviewed a book that you really want to read, and what was the book? Got quite a few people I'd quite like to tag to do this video. We've got Jess's Reading Ruminations, who did a fantastic video about Black authors that you should really check out. She in particular talked about Black Flamingo, which is a YA book, and Freshwater, which I know was on the Women's Prize for Fiction last year. She did such great little reviews of them, and definitely check out her channel and her video. Next we have Sylvie from the TBR Diaries, who, it wasn't really a book that she prompted me to read or want to read. It's a book I already had read, which is Song of Achilles, but because it's one of her favourite books, it made me want to reread it. And I did, and I loved it. So you get a tag, Sylvie. Next, I want to tag Leanne Rose, who did a little review of Kindred by Octavia E. Butler, who is an author that I've never considered reading before, but after listening to her review of it, I'm so keen to get to this one. And then last but not least, we have Jennifer from Jennifer Brooks, who has recently done an Ancient Literature Week where she goes through 5 different pieces of ancient classical literature, or some medieval literature as well. And you know, girl after my own heart. She loves history, I love history. She has great history recommendations, so definitely check out her channel, and hopefully, Jennifer, you might like to do this tag too. So those were all of the questions from the Idiom Delirium tag by KD Books. I really hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoy the tag. If I haven't tagged you, please feel free to do this as well. I'd love to see your answers to some of these questions. I hope that you're having a brilliant, brilliant day, and look forward to talking to you soon. Thanks, bye.